Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, you're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. And good morning to everybody tuning in from all over the world. That's right, we are back. It's Friday. What's today? Today is the 21st of April. Can you believe April is almost over again? What's happening to the time here? I'm Robert Gatewood. I'm a business developer by trade. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web. And you can find out more about my company by going to gatewoodmarketing.com. You can also find out more about this show by going to marketingpulpit.com. And you can see the show live right on the homepage. You can even see my ugly mug. So if you're tuning in on Radio 1 95.9 FM, which we are broadcasting all over the place through their app, through their broadband out of Silver Spring, Maryland, you can get the show right here on your smartphone, your desktop, by getting the app, WL app. Get that from your app store. But we're also simulcasting on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on LinkedIn. So welcome everybody who's tuning in for the first time. You've missed out on a lot, but the good news is that you can still get this information by going to our website, Marketing Pulpit, or your social media platform of choice. Many people contact me from LinkedIn. A lot of folks tune in on our YouTube channel. They like the way we categorize these shows on that platform. And we also have an Instagram channel. So we're all over the place. I've also written a couple of books called Played in Full. And I wrote a book called Smarter Than the Boss. If you're an employee or a boss, you want to read that book. And I'm also a professor at Prince George's Community College. And I've had a busy month. Man, I think on the 13th, I had 2 classes in the same day from different institutions. I was at the Women's Maryland Business Center, which is on Bowie University. And I was also at Employ Prince George's over at the National Harbor. That was a busy day. And guess what? I have to do it again on Monday. I'll be at the Bowie Business Center, and I'll also be at the Prince George's Community College. And so it's been a busy period. Thank everybody for tuning in. And we got a lot going on today. Later in the show, we're going to talk about listening. I've been posting a lot about that lately because I've discovered another secret sauce of marketing success, or just success in general when we're talking about relationships. Listen more, and talk less. That's my 2 sign language that I learned over the year. So we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about some things happening in the news. Got this gun just going out of control. Man, people getting shot for the slightest things. Now, did people think that putting all these guns out in the society was going to have a good outcome? I don't know what people were thinking, but we're going to talk about that coming up in the news. And we're also going to talk about, what are we going to talk about there? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And we're going to recognize some people tuning in. Everybody who's tuning in, if you want to get your name shouted out, just drop a name in the feed and we'll shout you out. Mr. Brown, the greatest plumber in town. He's a regular listener. Call him Deacon Brown. Let's talk about also our business director has caught on fire. My goodness. I can't hardly keep up. Every time I turn around, 5, 6 people have joined the directory. As I said I would do. I'm going to recognize you if you join this directory. We had a special going on where if you got in go to the plans, whatever plan you join, we're going to upgrade you. And some people just came in, they just went ahead and skipped right and paid the money to get there. They said, look, we don't need you. I don't want the free plan. I want to pay because I want to support the show. But we'll take it either way. I'm going to recognize a couple of folks. Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan. Now, he's a very holistic, very powerful guy who's been helping people in the health space and kind of get people off some of his medicine and things like that. So he's joined the platform. Thank you, Brother Jordan. Let's see, he's, of course, from Washington, D.C., out of, let's see here, out of Rolling Meadows, Illinois. Sarah A. Marks law firm. She's joined the directory. The real estate team out of Jana Caudle. She's out of, let's see, Crown Point, Indiana. Let's see here. What else we got? The Hutchinson Legacy Books. That's our good friend, Earl of Fiery Hutchinson. He's out in Los Angeles. He's in the directory now. He's got about 50 books he's written. So he's joined our author section in the business directory. Let's see, the Ward Family Law Firm out of Chicago. They have joined our directory. Let's see here, Miranda, Magnan, and Miranda out of California. They've joined the directory. Distinctive Dealer Solutions out of Crown Point, Indiana. Welcome to the directory. Master Clean out of Indiana. Again, man, Indiana's in the house. So we will continue to do that for a short period of time. If whatever plan you join in the directory, we're going to shout you out on the show. But that is not going to last forever, because that's going to be part of the paid plan in the future. But while we're getting this directory built up, whatever plan you join, we will announce you on the show. Now, see one more here. Women's Divorce and Family Law out of Chicago. They've also joined the directory. So we've had a robust rush to the directory. You can join it also. Go to mpi.bz or go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see MPI directory on the homepage. And just go in there and put your business in there and get this free advertising while it's free. And if you want to get an upgrade to become a guest on the show, as Minister Jordan did, we'll be having him on the show, matter of fact, next week. And thank you again for everybody who's tuning in and joining the show. Also, if you need a web domain, if you're about to start your web services, we do offer web services through gatewood.co. And we are probably one of the fastest growing web companies in the country right now. Prices are great. You get personal touch, 24-hour, 7 days a week service. You even might get me on the phone every now and then. Well, I'm not answering the phone, but sometimes people, because they know me, they'll call me directly and say they have a problem with their web services. I'd rather call the 800 number because they're better equipped, but it is backed by Gatewood Marketing. So you're going to get the good service. And every now and then I will drop you a free tip and offer you a discount. So go to gatewood.biz and that will get you into our web services, get your domain, your hosting, your SSL certificates, and all that good stuff. And of course, our sponsor, BLE Executive Suites. If you need a office, we have located in National Harbor, Largo, and College Park. Call them at 301-322-1700 or go to blesuites.com. All right, I think I got all that out the way. Good morning to some other listeners, tuner-inners. I see attorney Bradley Thomas. Thank you, Brother Thomas. Great supporter. He has his own show on Thursdays. I was listening to him yesterday. He's talking about that gun violence too and some other things. Thank you, Brother Thomas. I see William Maxwell from Idea Gear. Great brother, printing company, graphic designer. He's also in the directory, as well as Mr. Thomas and Brother Brown. I see Platinum, the comedian. She's in the directory also. Great lady. She got a lot going on. Thank you for following the show, being a supporter, and making this show the success that it is. And this directory is on fire. Get in there and get your name shouted out on Radio 1 95.9 FM. And all your friends will be saying, hey, I heard this guy announced you on Radio 1. So thank you again. Thank you again. Let's talk about some items in the news. Let's see here. Twitter is unchecking the blue marks. They had that blue check that was free for people like celebrities. And they were doing that to recognize, to keep people from impersonating them. Then they got rid of that and started charging you $8. So they are unchecking a lot of folks who were normally had the blue check mark. People like the Pope. Can you uncheck the Pope? They unchecked Beyonce. They unchecked Lady Gaga. They unchecked Oprah. Man, that seems sacrilegious. They unchecked the Kardashians. They unchecked Even the Twitter founder, Jack Dorsey, man, they would have got a little carried away here. But they're saying that this is supposed to democratize Twitter. I don't know about that. Anyway, I guess that's okay. Facebook is going to be paying out some money because all this information that was stolen and shared during Cambridge Analytica a few years ago. So there's been a settlement of $725 million, and you may qualify. It's a class action suit, and so I think probably a lot of us may qualify and get our. They have those class action suits. You get a $2 check. I may check about and get my $2 check. They have now groceries now becoming buy now, pay later. I'm not sure I like that. I just see debt. I mean, I think people should eat if they have to eat, but I don't know if you want to start putting debt on a. You buy what you can afford. If you can't, you got to work out something else. And I know this. I don't want to sound elitist, but I just see it as an opportunity to get people deeper into debt. But that's coming to a lot of stores like right now. So I don't know about that. Fox News has found out the hard way that you can't get on the air and just lie to people. They had to settle a lawsuit brought by Dominion Voting Systems. The suit was about $1.6 billion. They settled for $785 million, which is no small change. And Fox News has really done a horrible job of spreading this misinformation, and now they're having to pay for it. And they have a second suit coming up by a second organization, and that's going to be for like $2.7 billion. So they're going to find out the hard way that you can't do this and get away with it. Let's see here. Now here's an interesting story. A group of professional Black women are taking legal action against streaming company Hulu to block the release of the upcoming Freaknik documentary. Got a drink on that one. Well, if anybody's not familiar with Freaknik, I think back in the 80s, maybe late 70s and 80s, there was this, all the college kids would go down to Atlanta, and they would really get pretty wild. They got pretty wild. And so a lot of people did some things that they probably wish didn't come to the light of day. And, I think that you shouldn't do some of these things, but I think the fact that there was no internet back then and people didn't realize how things would be permanently online and shared. And so I think people should have an opportunity to say, look, okay, I did these things back then. I'm different now. And there was no internet back then. So I'm kind of siding with the ladies who are saying this does not represent who they are now. And it's not just a woman thing. I'm sure some people, men, women, all kind of people have done things in the past that they never thought would come to the light of day under the microscope of the internet. I would just say this, just don't do it now and tell your kids not to do it. Because some people were freaknicking back then and they're still freaknicking as adults. Just understand that it gets on the internet, is there forever. So I agree with the people who are trying to stop it, but I also say, look, let's take some responsibility of the things that we're doing now that we know the power of the internet, and let's tell our young people, some of these young ladies and young men who are putting all this information on the internet, that could be our redemption. Let's go back and help the next generation so they don't fall prey to some of the same misguided actions that we took when we were young people. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about it pays to listen. Matter of fact, I'm going to go as far as say, listen more and talk less. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. are back. We are back. We are back. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. Guess what? We're here every Friday. You don't just get this fun today. You actually get it every Friday. You can go to the website, marketingpulpit.com. You can go to your favorite social media platform. If you're a LinkedIner, you can go to LinkedIn. If you're a YouTuber, go to YouTube. Facebooker, Facebook. What's the other one? Twitter. Go right there. You can watch the show on your platform. And of course, if you are a Radio 1 95.9 FMer, you can catch it right on your radio, on your app, in your car, all over the world. Robert Gatewood. I'm a marketing guy by trade. Had a busy week. I'm gonna get busier next week again, starting off Monday with 2 courses, one at the Women's Business Center in Bowie, and then another at the Prince George's Community College that evening. And then I have another on Thursday, so then I get a little break. And thank you again. Matter of fact, April is Community College Month. So if you have a child, or if you're an adult and you're looking for a different pathway to success, a lot of people are choosing community college, get those credits and those certifications. And if they decide to go to 4-year college later on, then that's always an option. But we do have options. So thank you again, Prince George Community College, the Bowie University, Bowie Innovation Center, and Employ Prince George's, who are providing these alternative ways for people to get the knowledge that they need to succeed in business. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about our sermon for today. And I've experienced this. Sometimes when I do a lot of things because I discover the magic. I've been doing it. So I would say 90% of the items and things that we talk about on this show, it comes from just plain raw experience. I've done it, and I'm happy to share it with others. But somewhere along the way, I learned the power of listening. And I have come to the conclusion that you're going to be better off and better served if you listen more and talk less. I guess that's kind of hard to digest coming from a guy sitting up here talking to you for the next half hour, right? Well, I couldn't sit here and talk to you so intelligently if I weren't listening throughout the week. I spend the whole week listening to people. When I'm in meetings, I'm that quiet guy sitting back. I'm the one making notes. I'm the one watching body language. I'm the one that's thinking about what the different possibilities are. So we're going to talk about today some of the advantages of being a good listener. Now, in marketing, 2 of the most powerful marketing channels rely heavily on listening. For instance, networking. If you ever been to in a BNI group or any of those powerful networking organizations, or prolific speakers and people who do a lot of networking, the number one rule that most of them are going to tell you is that you have to listen. That's like rule number 1 when it comes to networking. The reason I know this, I teach a course on networking. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to be teaching next Thursday. So networking is important when it comes to listening. Another big one is social media. In social media, we call listening basically paying attention, having your antennas up, being aware of what's going on around you. So listening has very strong implications when it comes to marketing. Matter of fact, one of my students in my last, when I was at Employ Prince George's about a week ago, she said, "Look, Mr. Gatewood, I don't like to network because I don't like to talk. I'm not comfortable talking with folks." I said, "Well, you're in the right place, because number 1 rule, you shouldn't be doing that much talking anyway. You should be listening." Man, she like, wow. She like, I've gotten my money worth already, because that was a very important tip that I gave her. If you're worrying about not going to networking because you don't want to talk, you need to be the first one there, because it's not about talking. It's about listening. Let's talk about some of the benefits of listening. Number 1 is you gain knowledge by listening to people. None of us know it all. We're all still learning. You can't get that knowledge if your mouth is constantly going. You have to listen. Now, listening is very important when it comes to building relationships. Okay? It helps establish trust, understanding, and empathy. So if you're a good listener, and you seem to empathize with people, you're gonna get your leg up in your favor. It's great for resolving conflicts. When you have a conflict going on, if you want to shut that person up, I'm telling you, sit there and listen. Let them talk themselves out. And somehow, I've said this many times, some of the greatest problems in the world have been solved through listening. Listening also does this. It shows respect. When you sit there and listen to a person and sit there and give them the time and the due, it is a sign of respect. It lets them know that their thoughts and feelings are important. If you're listening, but if you're sitting there yapping when they're trying to talk to you, that can actually come across as very disrespectful. Okay? Let's talk about some more benefits of listening. I'll tell you, boy, I've learned this. I'm a talker. I've been a quiet person most of my life, but usually when I start talking, man, it's hard to turn me off until I started learning more and more about the power of listening. Okay. Now let's say if you're doing negotiating, and sometimes you can blow the negotiation by showing too much of your hand, by talking too much. Let that other person talk and put all their cards on the table. You sit back and take notes. Okay. Also, if you're talking all the time, you're more likely to contradict yourself, forget what you said. Just let the other person talk and you listen. Now, you got to put your words in there sometime, but I say this, if you got to talk, if talk you must, let it be in the form of a question. Let's talk about how to listen. Okay, I'm giving you all this advice on benefits of listening. It's not as easy as you think. If you don't just sit there and like a dummy on like a lump on a log, there is an art to it. Let me tell you some tips quickly on how to master the art of listening. The number one rule is to pay attention. Focus on what the person is saying. That seems obvious, but it's not so obvious to some. And show interest in what they're saying. Let them know you're listening. Okay? Say, oh yeah. Nod your head. I see what you mean. Particularly if you're on the phone, you sitting over there quiet. They think you know these phones will cut you off. Somebody be talking about a half hour, and your phone done died. You there charging your iPhone, they over there just talking away. So if you let them know, yes, I hear you. I got it. Let them know you're paying attention. Okay, show interest. And don't interrupt people. Now, some folks can go on and on and on and on. And sometimes you have to interrupt them. But even if you have to interrupt them, let them know. So look, I'm on a short time right now. I'm on a short schedule. So why don't we do this? Can we continue this conversation a little later on? And like I said, let them talk themselves out. I mean, nobody has infinite amount of time. Let people talk all day long. But listening, it pays off. Now, this is one, this tip here is golden. Ask questions. When you ask questions, it's going to cut out some of that rambling because it's going to direct that person who's doing the talking in the direction you like for them to go. Because that's when that's when it pays off. Ask questions. Matter of fact, one of my clients, the old guy, Neely Fuller, who wrote the counter-racist code, that's one of his favorite tools. Ask questions. He loves that. That's great advice. Another good listening tool is to paraphrase. Paraphrase it back to them in your own words. And sometimes that can clear up some miscommunication. You thought you heard it right, but you run it back to them. They say, no, that's not exactly what I meant. Sometimes it could be language. Sometimes it could be different parts of the country. Things might be in different cultures and things like that. So when you paraphrase it in your terms, in your words, and then they'll agree on it, that has shown again that you're listening. Let's see what else here. We're talking about tools of listening. Now, provide feedback. Okay. Feedback during the conversation. Sometimes to make a good point, you might just, okay, let me just add my point to this, but then get back into listening. Don't be judgmental. Now, I don't like the folks that, I'm listening to you, but then you start saying, well, you should have known better than that. Or a person your age or a person of your race or a person of your educational background should have known. Don't do that. That's wrong. That's not a good listening skill. And sometimes Sometimes this listening takes on a technological format. If you're texting, for instance, these same rules can apply. Sometimes people can type you like a whole dictionary, a whole encyclopedia, and you're trying to sneak in a couple of words. Your words got lost between all the things they're typing and vice versa. That means somebody's not listening. Let the person finish. Don't type everything at one time. So listening can take on the electronic format as well. And do this, follow up. After that conversation, you had to go, you come back, say, look, I'm calling you, I'm texting you to let you know I heard what you were saying the other day. I may not have agreed with everything you said, but I want you to know that I heard you. And then we can pick up this conversation again later. But I did hear you. I was listening. So that's overall, listening is a valuable tool when it comes to business and personal relationships. If you get lost, remember this: do less talking and more listening, and you're going to find yourself, your relationship skills and communication skills are going to improve drastically. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for the day. I'm Robert Gatewood. You can find me back here on the Marketing Pulpit next Friday at the same time, 10:30 a.m., broadcasting live on Radio 195.9 FM. Also, we're on all the most social media platforms. You can go to marketingpulpit.com, and we'll be glad to have you join us. And thank you for all the feedback we're getting we've got a full house today. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll be back next week. And if you want to be successful, remember these. You got to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Nature abhors a vacuum. And of course, abhors just simply means hates. It's an expression, and it pretty much says that vacuums or voids run counter to nature, and that every space should be filled by something. If you don't fill the vacuums in your life, by default, they will fill themselves, or somebody else will come along and fill it for you. Or there may be some type of consequence for not filling those vacuums. If you're not doing something constructive, if you're not filling that mind with something positive, if you're just sitting around just letting other people take control of that mind, then that's not going to have a good outcome. I had somebody ask me the other day, said, Gatewood, I want to hire you to do my branding for me. Where do I get started? I said, you have already started, I hope. How are you treating your customers? How are you treating your staff? Are you making a difference in society? What kind of service are you putting out here? You're already branding whether you know it or not. The key is it the type of branding you want? You are messaging in every decision you make in your company. That logo that people claim to be the brand is just the iconic representation of the brand that you've already developed. Does the brand that you have already started represent where you want to be? Your first introduction to your network is actually your family and friends. Mom, dad, stepmom, grandpa, grandma, they are actually your first network. Now let's take this a little deeper here. So if our network determines our net worth, what if we're born into a network that's not really working in our favor? I think Maya Angelou said it better. When you know better, you do better. We can't determine who we're going to be born with. We don't choose our family. And in some cases, we're not even choosing our friends because we're cast into these organizations like schools and churches, sometimes before we even have a say in the matter. But as we get older and wiser, sometimes, I think Malcolm said it, sometimes you have to separate. You may have to go find yourself another network to hang with.